What I'm about to share with you guys is going to literally change your life as a solo content creator. As much as I love my Sony cameras, the image quality, the stabilization, the reliable autofocus, there's been one thing that's been missing, and that's a reliable monitoring and control app. Sony Imaging Edge app, we all know, has been absolutely garbage and unreliable, so you couldn't really use that. And there's been so many features in that app that have been missing that are crucial to solo content creation. Most importantly of all, being able to choose your focus. Something so simple but so helpful as a solo content creator. Because there's been so many times when I've been out shooting by myself and want to be able to focus on a specific point, but if I'm really far away from the camera, I can't touch the focus and I just can't get the shot that I've wanted to. But now Sony has released a new app called Monitoring Plus with new firmware updates, which are gonna unlock a whole bunch of new features for Sony cameras, which is really exciting. The Monitor Control app works for iPhone or your iPad. I'm using it on the iPhone right now. So let's jump into it and look at some of the features available and how the interface works. So when you open it up, you see this red box around me right now. That's showing that I'm recording. I'm not going to turn that off because then you wouldn't be able to see me or hear me talking. But on the bottom right here, we have our frames per second. It's grayed out right now because I've already started recording. Then you have your autofocus or manual focus. If you really want to do some precision, manual focusing, I can just go like this and adjust. You can as well add a max or min if we want to do some sort of rack focus, or if you really want to get that precision focusing, you can change the speed so then it's like slower focuses when you're swiping up and down. And then here you can zoom in to really get really micro specific, zooming in on the different focus points. I'm gonna go put it back to autofocus. You can have the AF assist on, typical to what you're used to. You can as well, if you turn off the tracking off, you can choose which focus area, similar to what we have on our Sony cameras. I'm gonna go back to tracking to me. You have the face eye AF, so I've got it on priority right now. You can choose your AF transition speed and AF subject shift sensitivity. So you can play around with those and figure out which autofocus speeds you want and settings. Then you go back here, I can affect my aperture. So if I wanna, have a higher aperture, I can go up. Of course, it's affecting my exposure, so I'm not gonna do that. Then we have ISO. You can go there and choose the ISO. I have it at the base ISO 640. Shutter speed, you can go up and down here. Then you can change your white balance, and then you can add a look. This is kind of interesting that I noticed, and it's maybe a little bit unfortunate. With the FX3 or other cameras, if you press look, you can actually just select a gamma display assist, Rec 709. You can actually import your own LUTs, but for some reason with the A7S III, you can just select the picture profile that you want to use. I'm using right now S-Log3 with S-Cine Tone. And this is a little bit unfortunate that this doesn't have the feature just to add a gamma display assist or the Rec 709 LUT right away, because I'd like to see what's it gonna look like at its final picture. So hopefully Sony will add this feature for the A7S III, but right now you don't have that. Then from here, you can choose your recording format. Again, this is grayed out right now because I'm recording, but I'm using XAVC S4K, 25 frames per second and 140 megabits 42210-bit. Then you have your other settings. You can choose your zoom setting, your exposure control type, what mode you're in, D-range optimizer, metering mode, and then AE lock. You can turn that on and off. Up here, then you can do your live view. Do you want low res or high res? Obviously, if it's high res, it's gonna be more latency. If you want less latency, you put low res. Here you can check, do you want the tracking AF touchscreen ability or not? And then here you can press display, and then you can see your whole screen without having everything on here. If you've chosen all your settings and you just want to use this as a monitoring app, then you can zoom out like this and have the ability to see everything on your screen. One interesting use for the Monitor Control app is that if you are on set where someone else needs to see, for example, your client, the director, and maybe you don't have a budget for a really expensive monitoring app, you can just use this. You can set it all up and then press display and then lock it. That way you know that no one can touch anything, change the settings, turn off recording. So that's a very interesting use that you can use with the Monitor Control app. essentially this is a very affordable monitoring app wirelessly, which is great. You don't have to have any cords and you don't have to pay money for this. So yeah. Then we're going to get to the tools section. And I think this is where the exciting things are in the monitoring control app, on top of being able to finally just, choose focus. So I'm going to press tools, and you can select up to 3 different tools that are going to then show in the top bar. I'm going to turn these off. But first we have waveforms. So you can actually spread out the waveforms onto your screen like this, and then you can see exactly how is your exposure going, which is really handy, something we don't have in the A7S III. So that's a really nice feature to have. Then we have histograms. Again, you can see your exposure here. We have false colors, really going to help you figure out, are you blowing out something? How is your exposure in different areas of the shot? Then we have zebras. This is going to allow you to know if something is at risk of being overexposed with this little zebra lines up there. So as you can see right now, I have the light in the background and it's on the verge of blowing out. So that's why the zebras are showing there. Okay, then we have D-squeeze, which is really handy if you're using an anamorphic lens. You can press D-squeeze and you can D-squeeze from 1.25 times all the way to 2. I'm going to turn that off so I'm not squeezed right now. But another really handy feature. Then we have grid lines, which is always great tool when you're working on your composition, knowing are your shots lining up with the lower thirds. With app, there is a little bit of latency, but in my opinion, not a problem, especially if you're just using it to monitor what the shot looks like and then using it to press focus on different areas of the shot. So overall, I think this app is great, considering it is a free wireless monitoring tool now, just using your iPhone. I could even attach this to the top of my camera, for example, and then I have a monitor. I have a much bigger screen that I can look at for my exposure and check out, is the focus on and everything. So really exciting tool, gonna make your Sony camera much better and more usable. One thing though, Sony, please add the ability to add a Rec. 79 LUT in for Sony A7S III, because then that would make things perfect for me. But yeah, hopefully if you haven't heard about this app yet, that this will be a huge help for you as a solo content creator, because now you'll be able to actually choose your focus, and as well you can monitor and see what your composition and lighting is like and change all your settings at the tip of your finger with your iPhone or your iPad. Let me know what you think about this app, and is there any features that you think are missing or that you would love to still see, because maybe Sony will see this video and then add them into future firmware updates.